We'll hone in on why you should find a specialization or specialization, why finding a niche matters, what are some common niches found within the social work field, and then we will kind of end with what are some steps that you can take to figure out your own niche and your own specialization where you want to hone in on when it comes to the social. Why does finding a niche matter? So finding a niche matters because it's going to help you focus on something that you are actually interested in, and it's going to allow you to increase your job satisfaction because you are going to already know what you are interested in or what population brings you the most joy, what population allows you to have the most. And finding a niche is important for several different reasons. You want to find your niche because you want to take on opportunities, including both jobs and internship experiences that align with your personal passions. So you don't want to just take on random internships and things like that, because when it's time to actually step into the career, you're going to have a little bit more difficulty than somebody who kind of found their specialization early on or several specializations and found ways to align with those specializations. Don't feel like you have to pigeonhole yourself to one niche. You want to kind of keep your options open. You want to be as marketable as possible when it comes to the social worker field. What are some common niches found within social work? So number one, we know that we have clinical social work. So this is your mental health treatment, your therapy, your one-to-one work. You also have macro social work. So this might include policy, administration, working on a macro level with legislators and things like that. School social work is another popular specialization. You also have healthcare, so social workers that are working in doctor's office, social workers that are working at hospitals, in hospice. You also have criminal justice social work. That's me. I'm your girl. So we do a lot of work with reentry programs, advocating for those that are involved in the system, working in public defender's office, working at jails and prisons, and things like that. We also have some emerging specializations when it comes to social work. So entrepreneurial social work, which includes private practice, consulting, that is something that is on the rise. I am a part of that. We have social work and technology, so digital mental health, really looking at how are we standing up against technology when it comes to providing mental health care. Corporate wellness and employee assistance programs. A lot of social workers are doing a lot of work with EAP programs. So there are a lot of specializations when it comes to the field. Again, you want to kind of weigh the pros and cons of each specialization, figure out what your true passions are, and figure out how can you align everything to guide your career. Steps to discovering your niche. So how are you going to figure out your specialization? So the first thing you want to do is you want to reflect on your passions and strengths. What social issues matter the most to you? What social issues resonate the most with you? Where do you feel like you can provide the most impact? What populations have you already worked with and you felt like, you know what, I want to do more with that population? The next step that you want to take is you want to explore all of your experiences. So what internships have you completed? What projects have you completed where you were able to hone in on a particular population or a particular role? Figure out all of your experiences, how they align with your passions. That is going to help you narrow your choices down when it comes to figuring out your specialization. Lastly, you want to identify transferable skills. So what skills do you already possess that can bridge the gap between where you are and where you're trying to go? So again, this all boils down to alignment and you figuring out which populations you want to work with, so that way you can order your steps. Your internship needs to be aligned. Work experience should be aligned. Again, make yourself as marketable as possible. Some specializations are more needed than others. So you're more likely to find a hospital social work job versus a social worker job within the public defender's office, which is criminal justice social work or forensic social work. So you want to keep this in mind, depending on where you live at, what is needed, what specializations are needed based on location. These are all things you want to make sure you are looking at when it comes to figuring out your specialization. What certifications should you obtain in order to work with certain populations? Again, this is going to all boil down to making a pros and cons list of each specialization, figuring out what skills you have that align with these specializations, what certificate programs or what other opportunities are out there for me to be able to take advantage of when it comes to honing in on your social worker need. Is criminal justice social work or forensic social work. And I knew that I wanted to hone in on this population early on. So I always ordered my steps to align with my end goal, which was going to be a social worker in a legal setting. I completed internships at adult probation in the sex offender unit. I completed internships at court. I completed internships at Baltimore Circuit Court in the Medical Services Division Department. I completed internships at community-based criminal justice agencies, and I actually did work in the public defender's office, although I'm not there anymore because I've since resigned and kind of pivoted my career. Again, everything that you've heard me say was in alignment. So you really want to order your steps. That is what is going to help guide you and keep you focused within the field. Now, you want to hone in on at least 2 to 3 specializations is what I would recommend, because if you're honing in on one, you are limiting yourself. I love criminal justice social work. It is my true passion, but I'm going to be honest, depending on your location, finding a criminal justice social work job can be difficult. Or they might have some, but there's not that many. Whereas if you were looking for a hospital social work job or a medical social work job, you are more likely always going to be able to find those. So keep this in mind when you are trying to figure out your social work specialization. Networking, networking, networking. You want to network. You want to start networking in the field early on. When you are a student, when you are an intern, you want to start building connections. You want to start seeking out mentors. So you can ask people questions. You can ask people, hey, can I come shadow you for an hour or two? I'm thinking about choosing that as my social work specialization. Networking, networking, networking. I can't stress that enough.